Stay tuned and let's take a look at the Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave Disney Plus Loki Classic Loki. Hello and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and remember now you can hit that join button and become a channel member as well. Either show some love or join the members club. Much appreciated. Today we continue looking at the Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave. As in front of me we have the Disney Plus Loki Classic Loki. Now, the Loki series had tons of variants of Loki, and I'm surprised we haven't seen more of them in plastic, but I am glad we got classic Loki, played by Richard E. Grant, as his costume design is a clear wink and nod to Loki's comic appearance, and it looks pretty good as well. I've seen this in person already at MCM, and the face sculpts look spot on in regards to the likeness to Richard E. Grant, and we get two of them as well, which is nice to see, as this wave has been very lackluster in accessories. We also get some new accessories as well, as it seems. So here he is in the plastic-free packaging. There is Richard E. Grant in the costume, which again looks ridiculous, but it's a wink and nod to the comic appearance. On the back of the box, we get the Build-A-Figure piece for Khonshu, as well as the interchangeable head and interchangeable hands then maybe. So is it hands and effect pieces? We need to figure this out. No wave association. And on the side of the box, we get a list of order figures. In this wave, you need to build the Khonshu Build-A-Figure. Today, we're looking at number 2, which is Classic Loki. So, without further ado, let's get it open. Here we have a classic Loki out of the packaging with all of his accessories. And it's nice to say that without being sarcastic, as he does come with an interchangeable head, interchangeable hands, and effect pieces, which, let's be honest, the rest of the wave didn't really have much. He also comes with the last Build-A-Figure piece we need to build Khonshu. So you know what to do. Subscribe to the channel, as we will be building him very soon. Looking forward to it. But today, let's focus on classic Loki. And as I said, it looks great. Let's zoom in. Now, I can't help but smile myself when I look at this head sculpt, because I think they have nailed the likeness of Richard E. Grant dressed as classic Loki with this grin. If I can find a picture online to do a comparison, I'll throw up a side by side, at least one of Richard E. Grant, because I think this is the digital face printing tech at its finest. They've done a great job. There you go with the crown of Loki here. You can see you've got like the yellow of the sort of spandex, if you will, the hood, and then you've got the gold cracked helmet up top with the actual horns on as well. They are plastic pieces, and the second head was packed in cardboard as well to make sure that they weren't warped in packaging, which I appreciate. But yeah, the classic smiling head sculpt is spot on. The head is on a dumbbell as well, so you do get some tilt. You do get him looking down and looking up as well, which is really nice. But yeah, this smiling head sculpt, they have nailed it. You can see the shadows of the horns on his face there under my lights, but yeah, I think they've done a great job. But we do get another one. We get this more stern, sort of straight-faced version of Loki. Now, it is always nice to have options, and I do think the likeness on this head sculpt is really nice as well. Again, you can see the spandex to the gold crown with the horns as well. And the face sculpt, again, really good job with the likeness. But let me throw up a side-by-side of both head sculpts so you can make up your own mind for your display. Me, personally, you've got to go with the smiling head sculpt. It's just so much more fun and will stand out in the shelf, I think, a little bit more. But it is always appreciated to have the option of the two. So you let me know in the comments below, which head sculpt are you going to use? Now, looking at the figure itself, it does look a little bit janky in design with the big yellow diaper here, and they've hidden the articulation of the ab crunch in the actual design of the costume. So you do get quite a decent ab crunch there, but you can see how hard and thick the cape is. This isn't like a regular Marvel Legends cape that has a bit of bend and flex. That is rock solid, no real give there, and it drapes down the back. Doesn't go all the way down to the floor, as it just sits above the legs there, above the boots. But it does allow for the shoulders to still go all the way up, so it doesn't get in the way there. You can see some nice detail as well in the dirtiness to the yellow on the front of the collar all the way around to the back, and again in patches on the back as well. Nicely sculpted, it's just rock solid. The actual body itself, however, is all brand new and completely pinless. Look at the shoulders and elbows, double jointed elbows, There you go, work really well. He can literally touch his own shoulder. There's no swivel in the gloves though, but there is a hinge in the wrists, of course. Down to the legs, again, double jointed pinless knees. The cape will move out the way, so you can get the double bend in the legs, no problem at all. Again, no swivel in the boots, even though it seems like there should be. There is a swivel at the top of the thigh, which doesn't break up the yellow of the trunks. And then there is an ankle pivot and rocker in the boots, of course. And again, this is like the yellow diaper. It looks a little bit weird, but you've got the waist swivel there and then all of that ab crunch. Again, the back is limited only because the cape's so thick. If the cape weren't so thick, you'd probably have to get him back because he's got so much movement going forward. But because the articulation is pretty good, you can get him into some decent power wielding poses just like he is in the show. But to do that, you're going to need some effects. So out of the box, he comes with 2 open palm hands, which are very expressive. I like them a lot. But we also get some low-key power wielding hands, some magic effect pieces that actually represent his ability in live action really well to recreate in our display. So I like these a lot. Now it's a combination of 2 things. The first one is like this translucent soft plastic that we have many times before in Marvel Legends in a translucent green that just comes off. It's soft enough you can wrap it around the wrists or the feet. We've seen these many times before. What's new, however, is these hands. Now it's like green sort of bogies in his arms, hands that wrap around the palm and around the back there. Hopefully you can see it. My lights are a little bit harsh, to be fair, but these are new. We've not seen them before, and they definitely do a better job than just wrapping loose plastic around an open palm hand. So I actually think these are really good. And of course, you combine them together, you get this sort of charged up green effect hand, which looks really good. And again, definitely spruces up the display. There you go. You'll have to use your imagination, but there's definitely that scene where he's like recreating that city to distract that big monster thing. So yeah, it looks really good in plastic. They've done a great job. And as I said, because he's bright yellow and he looks like a medieval jester, which is accurate to the original Loki in the comics, of course, then he looks really nice. So yeah, no doubts at all. And the legs articulation, I haven't showed you that. His leg will still go all the way forward and out to the side as well. So even though this looks a little bit sort of clunky in the middle, it doesn't hinder the articulation at all. And yeah, overall, a brand new, completely pinless action figure, which is a great representation with great likeness to the actual character. So yeah, this is a home run. This is good. Moving on, I forgot to get the tape measure out and people get mad at me when I don't do that. So here we go. You can see that he actually stands at about 6.5, which is standard size, but his sort of horns make him appear a little bit taller than he is, but he is regular size. You'll see what I mean when I compare him to his comic counterpart. Now this is classic Loki, the original one, not the one that came out recently in the retro line. That one came with 2 heads, I think. So you can have our MCU versus our comic, which is always fun. And remember, the MCU were well aware the original costume for Loki was ridiculous, but they used it very well in this show, and you can see where the influence comes from here. Really nice. Obviously we've got the chainmail on this one, but this one just has some nice sculpted dirty detail because again, he's been lost for a while. But I am curious, can we use the new yellow effect pieces on the other Loki? And the answer is yes, you absolutely can. Now the hands may be a little bit smaller, but you can't tell because they're covered in the sort of green sort of effect anyway. And yeah, it definitely makes this comic Loki look a little bit more interesting when you can spruce them up with some powered up effects. So yeah, if you wanted to use these effects on the comic Loki, absolutely, yes, you can. Now let's look at some actual comparisons compared to the live action Loki show. So first up, we've got the TVA version of Loki and Mobius. Next, we have Sylvie and He Who Remains, who I've just reviewed on the channel, so go and check that out. And then here we have everybody back on the table. So here are all of the individual unique characters we have gotten in plastic from the Loki series. Mobius Loki, Sylvie, Classic Loki, and He Who Remains. There is, of course, one other version of Loki, a variant, if you will, that came with the re-release of the Tesseract without the TVA jacket, which in my opinion is a better representation of Loki from this particular series. I have got a review up on the channel thanks to Rich M. Go and check that out now. Obviously I don't have that figure anymore for comparison, but I do have Crocodile Loki. Well, I don't really. This is from G.I. Joe. But my point is, there were many other variants of Loki from this show that they could really go down a rabbit hole and give us Boastful Loki and Kid Loki and many others. I'm sure we will get more characters from this series, but it's crazy how this was the 3rd Disney Plus show and we still have more figures than WandaVision. Here we have Classic Loki compared to some What If zombies and, of course, Howard the Duck. All reviews on the channel now. Here we have Frogman, Tigra and White Rabbit. And then last but absolutely never least, here we have Captain Britain. and bombastic Hank. Cat, don't do it. The man's just so happy. Leave him alone. Sorry about that, White Rabbit's a bit of a bitch. But here we have final thoughts on this Marvel Legends Khonshu Build-A-Figure Wave Disney Plus Loki. Classic Loki. Now I think this is a great representation of the character. We've seen it in live action in plastic. Now, were the Loki variants on the top of my list of figures I needed from the MCU? Probably not, but I'm the sucker that would buy them all. Give me Kid Loki, Boastful Loki, Crocodile Loki. I will display them all, and I do think this figure is really fun, and that's what it should be all about, right? I think the likeness, the smiling head likeness, is one of the best likenesses we have seen in the digital face printing tech era, as that smiling face is Richard E. Grant all day long, and the costume itself is a joke compared to the comic look from Loki, and they made it work somehow in live action, and now we have a figure of that. So yeah, it's just a fun one at the end of the day. All new, completely pinless, all of that good stuff. You let me know what you think in the comments below. Are you in on classic Loki? Would you be in on a box set of the other sort of main variants? Always curious to hear your thoughts. But if you like Marvel Legends, then you're in the right place. Check out the videos tab, find the playlists, but most importantly, please, 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 hit that subscribe button, hit all on the notification bell, don't miss out on a video, and please hit that join button, become a channel member, either show some love or join the members club. Much, much appreciated. You can follow me on Instagram at It's Dan Who, and I'm on Twitter as well. Tweet me, don't be shy, at Dan Who Reviews. And until then, my name is Dan W, and I will of course see you on the next one.